All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. I have that it is 2 o'clock, and to be respectful of everybody's time, we're going to go ahead and start our webinar. Just to make sure you're on the right webinar today, we are doing the Boost Manufacturing Efficiency using your Dynamics 365 Business Central. And my name is Tara Cox. Oops. And our meeting agenda is, I want to go over, first of all, tell you a little bit about Trendsoft. Who is Trendsoft? And then what is Business Central? We're going to do a short manufacturing overview, and then we're going to leave some time at the end for some Q&A with our consultants here at Trendsoft. First of all, who is Trendsoft? For those of you that are on the call, I know some of you are already using us or using Dynamics 365 BC, but we were founded in 1996, so we're going on our 25th anniversary this year. We are a Microsoft Gold certified partner, and we've been around, like I said, for 25 years, and we've been doing Dynamics NAV since about 1999. And as you guys know, NAV is now called Dynamics 365 BC. We have been recognized as a top 100 VAR in magazines. We've done over 125 installations of both NAV and GP. And we really specialize in installation, automation, vendor payment processing. One new thing that's really popular right now is the BI reporting. We specialize in that. We can do everything from upgrade, consulting, support, customization, you name it. We have probably done it. So we like to say that we can do all things Dynamics ERP. Let's see. First of all, so, a lot of times we hear from our prospects and clients that they're using QuickBooks or they're using a smaller accounting system, and that you basically just outgrown your system. These companies often have a few common signs that just indicate that they're outgrowing their system, like, you're being disconnected. Maybe you have to do double entry, triple entry. Sometimes users are getting locked out of the system, or, your accounting has just gotten sophisticated and you can't really operate in a QuickBooks or a smaller accounting system anymore. Sometimes there's not the workflows that you need, the approvals that you need, or the just basic efficiency that you need. So when we hear that, we know we'd like to talk to you about our ERP solutions. One solution that we do specialize in here at Trendsoft is the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Again, you heard me mention just a few minutes ago that this used to be called Dynamics NAV or Dynamics Navision. So you might have heard that before. Most people are familiar with Microsoft. So if you are familiar with the Office products or the old GP or Great Plains, you'll be pretty familiar with the BC product. It does integrate fully with your Outlook and your other Microsoft products. So you will be pretty comfortable in the solution. Dynamics 365 Business Central, it connects your people, your processes, all of your solutions and data with one, single ERP solutions. You can even do things like payroll, banking. If you have a CRM system, it can even integrate with that. If you don't know that Microsoft does have its own CRM system, Microsoft Dynamics Sales, or in BC, there is their own little CRM solution, kind of like a light CRM solution that we use here at Trendsoft. Since the cloud version of Business Central, it was released in April of, I believe, 2018 or 2019, just a couple years ago. They just announced that, but now it has over 15,000 customers, and it has seen a 250% growth within the product in just those short couple of years. There are more than 750 solutions available within what they call the app source of Business Central. So if you purchase or if you use Business Central, which is a subscription-based model, you can go out to the App Store and purchase and pick and choose the third-party products that you want. If you need a payroll system, or if you need a CRM solution, or if you want just a little add-on, you can do that in the Microsoft App Source. So I kind of encourage you to kind of take a look out there in Microsoft App Source and look at all of the possibilities that are out there right now. I wanted to share with you just a couple of findings from a recent study that was published by Forrester regarding Business Central. It kind of just opened my eyes to a lot of findings. This Forrester research group studied 5 current Microsoft BC clients. They noticed some specific findings, such as better operational efficiency. The companies avoided some certain costs, and they were able to scale and grow easily. So you could upsize your users, or if you got in a kind of a downtime, you could downsize your users. It's just really flexible because, as you know, Dynamics 365 BC is a hosted solution. So you can, like I said, add, subtract users as you need to in your business solution. And this study, this Forrester study, also found some interesting stats, such as 162% return on investment. Clients reported $288,000 in savings in net present value. For most clients, the payback was less than a year. There's also a lot, it's pretty easy to integrate between, payroll systems or CRM solutions or other data. And so that just kind of increased our clients, or many clients' confidence level, just that you're getting the appropriate data and that you're reporting on the correct data. A couple of things about Dynamics 365, if you read Kyle's comment with the BC, they don't have to store data in separate systems. That is one thing that I've heard over and over again from our clients is, whether it's Dynamics Nav, Dynamics BC, Dynamics GP, they want that one centralized ERP solution where they don't have to have separate systems to kind of talk back and forth. It just cuts down on data mistakes, cuts down on time, and therefore it will save you guys a lot of money. So I think that's really good. So with that introduction here, I wanted to go ahead and get this manufacturing solution webinar started. I'm going to introduce Nicholas Jackson. He's a senior consultant here at Trendsoft. He's a senior consultant and a project manager, and he specializes in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So he is going to share a little bit about what he's learned on manufacturing. And at the end, we will have a little Q&A with Matt Wood. He is our project manager here of the Dynamic Solution, or our team lead of the Dynamic Solution. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to use the Q&A here. I do have Callie Wagner on with me along with Nicholas so that we can monitor the questions, and we will take those down and we will be sure to answer those at the end. If you need anything at all, just ask during the Q&A and we will get started. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Nicholas.
Hi there, my name is Nicholas Jackson and I'm a consultant at Trendsoft, and I'll be doing a quick overview of manufacturing inside of Business Central. So I'm here inside a test company called Cronus, and this is where we will be doing the demo. So first, let's take a look at a little bit of setup before I jump into any transactions. Let's take a look at our items. And I've got some Z items set up here for demonstration purposes. I've got a bicycle and a couple of components that go into that bicycle. So let's go take a look at this bicycle itself. And if we scroll down a little bit to the replenishment system, here you can see this is a production order. This means that this is an item that we produce. It's not an item that we assemble or purchase, but will always have a production order associated with it. This item we make to stock, and we also have a routing and a production bomb associated with it. You can take a look at these routings and production bombs real quick. If you want to think about the difference between routing and the production bomb, imagine this bicycle is something that you're trying to cook. And the routing is going to be your recipe, whereas your production bomb is going to be your ingredients. So if we jump into this route here, we can select from a full list and we can take a look at this routing. You can see here, these are basically my recipe instructions or my recipe steps for each one of these bicycles that I produce. So I have to prep the frame, add the pedals and the gearing, the wheels, and the handlebars. Now, if we go quickly over to take a look at the production bomb itself, then we'll get an idea of what are the ingredients inside of our bicycle. So if we take a look at this bicycle, we can see here we've got 2 wheels, 1 gearing, 1 handlebar, and 1 frame. Now, this can be as complex as you would like. You can even include what are called phantom bombs, which means if there's another piece, let's say this bicycle gearing that you manufacture yourself and you don't purchase, then you can include that, and that will be included inside of the manufacturing planning. But for this example, these are items all that we purchase. We can tell that we purchased them because if we take a look over at the next item here, we're taking a look at the bicycle wheel. You can see the replenishment system is purchase. This means that we purchase it. We have some default vendor numbers set up here. Since we always buy this one product from this one vendor, we can say this is the vendor number, this is the vendor item number, and we always purchase them in pieces. Now, when we come down here to planning, we can take a look at a couple of different options for this item. We have a reordering policy. The most common is going to be lot for lot. But we can also do something like a fixed reorder quantity. If you just want to reorder the same thing every single time, then you can do a fixed reorder quantity. You've got a couple other options such as a safety lead time and a safety stock quantity. These can be really good for advanced planning. Make sure you have the quantity on hand to meet your demand. And then over here, we've also got some order modifiers. I've got a minimum and a maximum order quantity, and we also have an order multiple. In this case, I always have an order multiple of 2 for bicycle wheels because I'm not really going to need just one wheel. I'm going to be making bicycles, so I'm always going to need 2. And this will ensure that I always order multiples of 2 for these bicycle wheels. Taking a look at these next items, these are very simple. We have a lot for this bicycle gearing. We've got a minimum order quantity of 5 on this one. Handlebars, very simple, just lot for lot. And the frame is lot for lot with no other restrictions. Okay. All right, so we will drive our demand from sales orders. There's a couple of different ways inside of Business Central to control demand, but the most common one is going to be just open sales orders, and you can drive off of that. If you have a pretty good idea of what your forecast demand is going to be, then you can add a demand forecast and you can run MRP off of your demand forecasts and kind of build for the future. But in this case, we're just going to do a sales order. So if we come up here to sales, we'll go to sales orders and I'll create a new sales order. Let's go with the next sales order number and which customer. I want to sell it to Alpine Ski House. Say, okay, great. All right, if we come down here to the items, they are going to buy some of these bicycles. So we'll say bicycle. We're going to ship these out of the main warehouse. And let's say they're going to buy 12 bicycles. Now, you can see there's a little pop-up up here that says the available inventory for item Z100 is lower than the entered quantity at this location. Now we can confirm that by coming over here to this fax box. And for this item, you can see there's an available inventory of -12. That means that we don't have enough quantity on hand to fulfill this sales order. Now, there's a couple of different things that you're going to do that you could do from here, but we are going to leave this one in a released status. That basically means that it is ready to be produced, and this will be picked up by MRP once we run MRP. And let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to open up something called the Planning Worksheets. And really, this is the engine that drives MRP inside of Business Central. So we'll go to Prepare, and we will calculate a regenerative plan. We've got a couple of different settings here for MRP. We want to select, yes, we will also want to run NPS at the same time as well as MRP. We've got some starting and some end dates for when we want to run MRP for, if we want to run it 6 months out or what have you. We also have an option here to use a specific forecast that we can include, or if we just want to run it for a specific item, then we can run MRP just for a specific item. But these settings look good, and I'll click OK. Give the system a second to generate it, and here we go. This is a result from MRP. First item here is for Z100. Now it's telling me that I need to create a production order for 12 of these bicycles. And that makes sense because that came from my quantity of 12 on the open sales order. Now the rest of these, it says that I need to purchase. It says I need to purchase 24 wheels, 12 gearings, 12 handlebars, and 12 frames. This comes from the production BOMs. In the BOM for this bicycle, it listed 2 wheels, 1 gearing, 1 handlebar, and 1 frame. And so it did the math and said that this is the quantity that I needed. Now, I don't have any quantity on hand of any of these items, but if I did, it would take that into consideration. For example, if I already had 10 wheels on hand, it would only tell me that I need to order 14 wheels in order to make this production order. All right, so I am going to check these boxes to accept the action messages for each one of these. And that's basically telling me that I need to create a production order for these, and I need to create a purchase order for these since we don't manufacture them. Then I will go to process and I'll say carry out action messages. I've got a couple options here for production orders. First, it's going to ask me what do I want to do with each one of these production orders created inside the planning worksheet. I could move these production orders to planned production orders, firm planned production orders, or firm planned and print the firm planned production orders. In this case, I'm going to go with just firm planned. That means that it is a firm plan. It's not released to the floor yet, but it is definitely going to happen. We don't have any assemblies here. And next, we can take a look at the purchase orders. Got a couple of different options here. We have an option to make the purchase orders. We can make the purchase orders and print, or we can copy them to the requisition worksheet. This is another more advanced feature, and it allows you to do a little bit more tweaking in terms of which vendors you want to purchase from and what quantities and all that sort of stuff before you create the production order. However, I know that my setup is good, and so I'm just going to allow it to go ahead and make the purchase orders. We'll click OK, and there we go. All those action messages are carried out. So first, let's take a look at that production or that purchase order that was created. So if we go to purchasing and purchase orders, we can see here only one new production or purchase order was made, and that is because all of these items we say are going to be purchased from the exact same vendor. It automatically groups those into one purchase order, so you don't have a whole bunch of purchase orders to worry about. And this can be really nice when you're not talking about 4 items, when you're talking about 40 or 400 items. It really helps keep everything together in one place. So here are the items that we need to purchase. We've got the quantities, we've got the costs that were automatically brought in. All right, and we are good to go. So let's go ahead and release this. And let's say I've already taken this document, I've sent it off, I've even gotten the vendor invoice number, and it was something like that. Now I need to receive these items associated with it. So I am going to go to a warehouse receipt, and I'm going to create a new warehouse receipt. This basically will tell the system that I want to bring in this inventory. This would happen whenever you receive the shipment from the vendor. We'll just go with the next one. I am at the main location, and now I want to bring in the lines associated with that. So let's go to process, and I have an option to get source documents. What this will do is it'll go out and look at any open purchase orders for this location and bring them in. And this will prevent me from having to key in all the items, and I can just bring in certain ones associated with this purchase order because I've already keyed it once, no need to key it again. So let's say I've got this full quantity of the wheels, gearings, handlebars, and frames, and I'm going to receive all of them. Now I can just go to posting. I'll go ahead and post this receipt, say yep, and great, everything has been posted. So now, if we come back to the purchase order, and it's giving me a little info saying some things could not be updated, and that's okay. So let's close that page out and reopen it. All right, now if we scroll over to look at the quantity received, you can see we have done our warehouse receipt. And now there's a few quantities to invoice. And if we want, it looks like our invoice number got erased. But that's okay. We can just rekey that there. And now we've got our quantity invoice. Now we can go ahead and invoice this if we want. This doesn't have any impact on MRP, but we can go ahead and invoice. All right, there you go. That purchase order is taken care of. Now let's go over to the firm planned production order that we created from MRP. Now, whoever your buyer or planner is will be taking a look at these firm planned production orders, and they will decide which ones they need to release, aka which ones want to be sent to the floor to actually be completed. Now, let's say your planner says, okay, this bicycle firm plan production order is good to go. Now we can go to process. You can change the status on this one, and we want to change it to release with the posting date of today. Say yes, and this will release the production order. And now your release production orders are going to be the ones that are ready to manufacture. They're ready to be done. There's no other planning. They just need to be done whenever they are ready. All right, so now I've got this release production order and for a quantity of 12 bicycles. If I want to take a look at what components are associated with this bicycle, then here under the line section, I can take a look at the components. And you can see here, I've got a total quantity of 24 bicycle wheels and my gearing, handlebars, and frames. Everything looks good here. And if I want to take a look at the routes associated with this item, I can go to line and routing, and it'll show up and it'll list the 4 steps that I have associated with this and the work center, aka the location that each one of these steps occurs in. All right, everything looks good here. And this is the point where I'd actually make the product. Once I have made the product, then I can take a look, and I have the fleshing method set to backwards for all of these, so there's no manual data entry that needs to happen here. Everything is just going to assume that it takes the same amount of time every time, and it takes the same amount of quantity every time. And if you're just getting started with manufacturing, this is definitely the way to go. Once you get more advanced and you want to introduce something such as scanning or some other time clocking system, then that can be really helpful for you to get really, really accurate data. But in this case, this is all just going to be automatically filled in, and it's going to be pulled from the production bombs and the production routes. So I'll close that out. And now we just need to change the status over to finished, as I have finished this production order. And we'll say yes. Great, and the production order has moved to a status of finished. Okay, so now I have finished my production order, and let's go back to that sales order. We go to this sales order that I created for Alpine Ski House. We can see I've still got my 12 bicycles that need to be sold, but if I come over here to my fact box pane, you can see there's now an available inventory of 12 bicycles, because of that production order that was finished. So great. Now I can create a warehouse shipment for this item. Let's go to warehouse shipments. This is very similar to warehouse receipts. This just tells the system that I am shipping this out the door, and say the location is Maine. Again, we have this nice little get source documents, and it searches all open sales orders that are released. We can say okay. And now we got a quantity of shipped to 12. Now we can go to posting, and we can post the shipment, and let's just ship it. Great, the shipment lines have been posted. So now we come back here to our sales order. We can see the quantity shipped is 12, and we still got 12 to invoice. So let's go ahead and invoice those real quick. I'll go to posting, post, now we'll invoice them. Say okay, and great, those have been posted. Now let's go to posted sales invoice and take a look at a couple of transactions that occurred with this sales order. Okay, so now if we go to find entries under actions, We can see all the different entries that are associated with this, including some GL entries, even a few tax entries, including the customer entries as well. So these are all of our GL entries associated with this sales order. We have all of our sales tax payable accounts. Here we have our inventory accounts, and we also have our accounts receivable accounts, and all of these get adjusted automatically. Now, from the manufacturing perspective, what we can do is we can take a look at our item ledger and see all the different quantities that changed as a result of this. So, just taking a look at these entries here. You can see here we've got, these are each one of our components, the Z1, 10, 20, 30, and 40. We had an increase from a purchase receipt. So we received in 24 of these and 12 of each of these. Then here, this is the output of the bicycle frame. This is from our production order that we created. So there's an increase in 12 here, and there's a consumption of all these items that we just purchased. And then lastly, there was a negative quantity adjustment for the bicycle because of the sales shipment that we did, meaning we shipped it out the door. All right, this was a very high-level quick overview of how to do a rough manufacturing, including MRP and MPS inside of Business Central. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what Business Central can do regarding manufacturing. Thanks.